My name's 100K Bull, and today I'm going to teach you about assets and liabilities. There's only two things that you can actually spend your money on. It's either going to be an asset or a liability. There is no in between.
Is very simply assets, cash flow money into your pocket.
Some examples of some assets are going to be bonds, stocks, and rental homes. But some other examples that you guys probably would have never thought about is if you can go around the store and see something that's value, you want to get familiar with anything that's worth anything. You look at this, it looks like it's nothing. But I bought this back a couple years ago for $9. Now it's sitting for around 50, 60, maybe even $70 over here. You might go into the store, you might see a box of cereal, something that you might think is nothing, but you don't know this one box of cereal is actually worth $15 on Amazon because it's a limited edition Reese's box or some weird shit. But you just need to be familiar of all prices. If you want to be up there with the top dogs, you just got to get familiar with everything, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we're going to keep going. We're going to talk about liabilities right now, which is most of y'all are spending all y'all money into, and that's why we have to live check to check. Some liabilities are going to be cars, homes, boats, cable, stuff like that. But also another big liabilities is probably what y'all spend 80% of y'all money on. It's going to be other stuff like nicks, shoes, credit card debt. That's all liabilities. That's stuff that once it's spent, you'll never get your money back from that. And that's why we can't be spending our money. An example of a liability is anything that you put your money into and you won't get a return for it. So pretty much everything you're going to spend your money on, if you don't know what you're doing. For example, if you used to have 10K and you want to buy a new car instead of keeping your old one, that's a huge liability right now. It's simply for the fact that you spend that 10K instead of investing in it, that car is going to depreciate over or up to 20% just in 1 year. So you'll be down 2K. Not even including the insurance, the maintenance, gasoline. The list just goes on and on. So all the rich do to stay rich is to buy more assets than liabilities. And you need to figure out what's an asset and what's a liability. Because not everybody's asset and liabilities will be the same thing. It's all depending on what you can afford right now.
What is an asset? What is a liability to you? Like, how do you define an asset? How do you define a liability?
I'm gonna be honest. I think depending on the role you play and who you are, what's a liability for one brother could be an asset for another. You understand? Let's say me owning a private jet, 15 passenger, let's say if it was $5.5 million. For one individual, that could be a liability. But the position I'm in, it could be an asset. And not just based on the money I get or my salary, but the individuals that surround me that I know would also lease this jet when I'm not using it. You know what I mean?
For example, I started a dog breeding business. If I didn't have the money for dog food, didn't have the money for shots, deworming and stuff like that, then that'd simply be a liability. But since I do have the income and I'm putting all my stuff back into my assets, it's no problem feeding these dogs. It's no problem getting the shots. It's no problem doing none of that. I also started a car detailing business. If I didn't have the money to buy the waxing machine, the wags, the car, blah, blah, that'd all be liabilities. But since I know that what I spend my money into, if I was to do 3 or 4 jobs, everything I spend into will be paid for. Simply as that. That is example as the asset. Simply all the rich do is buy more assets than liabilities. That's all to it. That's all to it. That's it. Because once you spend that money, you're never going to get it back. A quick little diagram of what I'm talking about. Let's say you want to become rich. The first step you're going to need to get, if you like it or not, is a job. But if you used to put your income, this is your income, and put it into more assets, it's simply just going to put more money into your pocket instead of a liability that you will never get back. This is the diagram. It's real simple to explain what I'm talking about in more depth.
You don't have to show people you have what you really have. You have it. But when you're a boy and you seek attention, you need people to see what you have. If you really have it, shouldn't it be enough that you have it? So what I'm hoping for this group, I'm asking that a group of males would make sure they transition from malehood to boyhood to adolescence to manhood and then the man's man.